And then we're going to kind of move forward. I did pull some of the questions that were sent onto the Google Docs that I pulled out ahead of time, but I also have Mr. Worley and Ms. Slayton in here that if any questions come up, please use that Google, that chat to send your questions. And I will try to get all those questions answered in our time frame. So again, make sure your mics stay muted as we go through this, and we'll kind of go from there. First of all, the school closure. I do need to reiterate what it really looks like. Our bricks and mortar, the actual school, are being closed right now, and these are going to be closed for the remainder of the year. We are going to be going into a continuous learning model that'll begin the week of April 13th. And there's going to be more information that's going to be sent out to you and to your parents once this begins. I have another meeting today at 2 o'clock to finalize a senior plan on what it's going to look like for you guys. So for right now, everything is going to be starting on April 13th with our extended learning modules, with what we're going to be doing. What I do need you to do at this particular time, if you have not already done so, is that this grading period ended on the 27th. All your grades, and not just yours with the seniors, but in the whole district, all the grades were frozen as of March 13th. So there was no work to be assigned during this closure up to this one point, but we have reached out to the teachers that any work that you had not completed or turned in prior to the 13th, please get that to your teachers, because they will be accepting any work that was assigned to you prior to the March 13th school closure, that they will be getting and accepting that work for you to get a grade on. When we come back, the teachers, this is a kind of still our spring break. The teachers will be coming back on April 6th. We will be having meetings via either the Google Meets platform that we're using here today or Zoom, that we will be meeting regularly with the teachers, outlining and doing everything that we need to for the previous week. Grades for this last grading period will be posted, and these are going to be still our traditional grades. These are going to be the traditional grades, A through F format. The teachers will post grades on Wednesday, April 8th from this last grading period. So again, if you have not turned in any of that work that was issued to you prior to this, make sure you get it turned in. The teachers will be accepting that. I am hoping that the teachers have been reaching out to you and touching base with you, because it's going to be one of the things that they will be doing more often. So as we start this new platform, along with our counselors and some other people that will be working in different role groups to make sure that you guys are out, so we can get those ones. The one thing that we do need to make sure, and this is what's going to happen, and this is where it's going to change, and this is coming from the state and actually the district level. Your final grade for the semester is going to be a pass or no grade for your semester grade that'll actually go on the transcript. What this will do is that your GPA, by going to this format, will not be affected one way or the other. So right now, what your GPA is what it's going to be like for the semester, if provided you pass the class. If you don't pass the class, your GPA will not be affected, but you'll just be lacking that class or classes that you did not pass what was expected of you during this one time. The state has been working with the different universities and so forth, and like I said, this is not anything new. It's happening across the whole United States with what everybody is having to do to make sure that we get our seniors graduated and moving on. I know a lot of you have been working on getting accepted into the different universities. Continue doing that work and whatever needs to be done for you for your next chapter in life. But I'm just telling you what we're going to be doing here to make sure that we get this semester closed out for you. So for right now, this semester for everybody, the last day that everybody will be logging on is going to be May 21st. We are working on a plan for you seniors that have been taking care of business and that are ahead of the game, that you we're looking at an earlier deadline that we can, if you've already passed that class, that we will give you the grade for that particular class, and then you don't have, that's one less thing that you have to worry about. But that's something that we're working on, and that's something that we're going to be meeting more extensively when I have my 2:00 meeting this afternoon with the district. Okay, what we do need from each and every one of you, and I did send this out to you via email and a parent call on Sundays. We do need you to make sure you're getting with parents that you are. You need to have some type of electronic device, a computer, iPad, tablet, smartphone, what have you, and internet access as we go through this next phase. I do need your parents to be checking into their parent account, because when I do send out these messages, I'm able to run reports that a lot of you have blocked our calls or emails from the school. You will need to get those mics muted. So you will need to make sure that those parents, your parents, are going in there, because we do have quite a bit of phone numbers and emails that have been blocked. So you need to make sure you get with your parents that they're unblocked, because my way of communication from here on out is going to be through our school messenger system that we have set up through Synergy. So just that way you just know from there.
Is this link to live stream?
I know that there's been just a lot of different type of things of how graduation and everything. I think what we need to do before we even talk about graduation is we need to make sure that we take care of the academic part, that you actually pass the classes that you're currently in. I do need you. We do have quite a bit of our seniors that are doing online classes. You should have already been still continuing with those classes. Those are still made available. Our counselors are going to be running checks this week to see where our seniors are at on those online classes through E-Academy. If you know that you need another class, the district has opened up that the only people who can actually add to any type of extended learning beyond our school here at Valley High School through E-Academy are going to be our seniors. So it's going to be important that you do reach out to your counselor to double check. They have pretty much been contacting the students with what classes that they needed to be on, or put them in a type of class that's needed for them to complete the graduation requirement. If you're in doubt, please contact your counselor via email, and that way we can go again. The district has allowed us to add only seniors for a credit recovery now through E-Academy. So that's what's in place. Right now, there is, to kind of ease your mind, I know everybody's talking about graduation and graduation ceremony. Right now, the Department of Health has a stay put where nobody can congregate in a building more than 5 people. Until that gets lifted from the state, no business, no other area will be open to have any of these things. So once the Department of Health lifts this ban of people, the amount of people that can actually be in a particular building, is when we'll start looking at a graduation and what it's going to look like. I can let you know that we will be having a graduation. When it happens, I cannot tell you, because there's still a lot of things in the air. If you've been following the news with what the governor talked about yesterday, they're looking at this thing to really hit a bigger peak later on now in April. that could push this kind of self-quarantine type thing longer into the end of April, going into May. So again, until the Department of Health gives a clearance for these different businesses and establishments open, nothing's going to be taking place that way. But there will be a graduation. I think what we need to worry about for you, and again, I know there's a lot of you that are already ahead of the game taking care of business, but there's still a lot of you that are needing to complete classes that you're in now and taking some of those extra classes. Make sure you get whatever work is being done so we can move forward from right there. I know questions have been coming up with diplomas and so forth. All that's going to be determined once that we know when we're going to be having a graduation. Again, your diploma will be distributed when we actually have our graduation ceremony. And again, that date has yet to be determined. And all that's going to rely with what actually comes out from the Department of Health at that particular time. Cap and gowns. Do not do anything with your cap and gowns. Hold on to those because we're still going to have a ceremony. So you're going to need those when we actually have the ceremony. The one thing that you do need to know, and this is what's happening, I know a lot of you ordered kind of those little announcement messages. Don't do anything or send anything out because those companies are going to be working at redoing things because it's changing everybody's graduation dates across the whole United States. It's not just here. It's not just Valley. It's not just in Albuquerque. It's all across. These are vendors that we work with that are not just particular to Albuquerque. These are vendors that work across the United States. So don't do anything with those right now. Everybody's working with the different vendors to make sure that any type of announcement that you order is going to be reprinted when everything is finalized as we move through this uncharted waters that we're all going through. Again, lockers, materials in your lockers. I know some of you probably left food. Maybe you guys can actually be the people that will find a cure for this pandemic that's going through, for this type of penicillin is probably growing in your lockers because you left food in there. That until the Department of Health, again, opens up that we can have people in different buildings, nobody will be allowed to be coming in to gather their stuff on their premises right now. Once that the Department of Health has lifted that ban of people being in public places, we will put in a plan as to when people can actually come on campus to clean out their lockers, turn in books, what have you, like we would have as a normal type of end of the year closure. Okay. And so these are some of the questions that have already been put up prior to this, and I'm going to answer whatever questions have actually been submitted as we've been talking at this particular time. What else has been?
One person asked, do they get money back on the parking pass?
The parking pass and all that right now, what we're going to be doing, we're going to see on the 3rd, we're going to have to work with how we would get any of that stuff refunded, how much you actually paid, and when you actually purchased it. So those are things that we will actually be looking at that particular time.
So think about cap and gowns and class fees.
Yes. The class fees, that's going to be something that we'll be working on, that we'll probably take those class fees off your classes on there, but we have to meet with the teachers as to see what was entitled for those classes that actually had a fee and what was going to be there to give you a reimbursement back from March until now the end of the school year with what was going to be covered on that. Okay, the rankings right now, like I said, because it's going to be pass or no pass, the rankings, I'm assuming, like I said, I do have another meeting at 2:00 today, that's the biggest question that we actually have on how this is going to play into that. I can tell you, if everything is on a pass, no credit right now, the rankings, in my opinion, would not be changing as of right now. But again, we do have a meeting. I have a meeting at 2:00 that this is the main topic of conversation that we're having at 2:00 with just secondary principles and what actually is going to come out of that meeting, so we can finalize all that. If things change on that grading thing, you guys will be the first to know. But as of right now, we are looking at a pass, no grade for the graduate to meet the graduation requirements at this particular time. Thank you. What was the question?
What if they have work in their locker?
Right now, if there's work in the locker, we cannot allow anybody to be in the buildings right now. As a matter of fact, we have to stagger ourselves when we're actually here in the buildings as well. So that's going to be something that you're going to have to work out with the teacher that you had the work in your locker for at this particular time.
Same thing about turning in textbooks.
Okay, the textbooks, again, we were going to come up with a plan with what we're going to actually be doing. Make sure you don't lose them if you already have them in your possession, not in a locker. Again, once the Department of Health lifts the ban on who is actually allowed to be on campuses, we will put a plan in place for you to be turning in your books and so forth and cleaning out your lockers at that particular time.
And yearbooks.
Okay, yearbooks right now, again, everything is going to be done at a different date. Yearbooks, just to kind of let you know, a lot of these plants where the yearbooks come from and where the cap and gowns are coming from, a lot of those plants were closed, and actually they're being used in different ways now to actually start producing medical wardrobes that our medical profession actually needs as they are dealing with this crisis that the whole United States is dealing with. So a lot of our plants that manufacture these different things have been closed and have been transformed into different areas to help support our medical profession as they battle this crisis.
Testing.
Also and this shouldn't affect you guys, but the testing at this particular time, all testing for the state has been canceled. So, and this really affects just the juniors and the sophomores, that there's no more state mandatory testing that needs to be done. If you were scheduled to take an AP exam, the AP exam has been modified, and we have been having our AP teachers to be sending out information because there are different modules on how the AP test is going to be done. For you AP students that are online, AP exam now is going to be a 45-minute exam done on the computer from home, and the material that will be covered from the beginning of the school year to the beginning of March is what's going to be covered. There are different that we've been sending out to our AP teachers that they should be sending out the links that you're able to click on to start looking at what the test would actually kind of look at, so you have an idea of what the test will actually be formatted to as we take that test. Now, those tests are going to be done a little bit later than in May, and we're waiting word from the College Board as to when those will actually take place for the AP students. If you were a student that was signing up for any of the ACT exams, we did have an ACT exam here scheduled for April 4th. That has been scheduled, and that's going to be done either in June or July. We are still, again, waiting for the College Board to give us a definite date as to when that ACT exam will be rescheduled for here for Valley High School. All the other ACT exams that were scheduled throughout APS, those exams have actually been postponed to a later date as well. If you need to get more information on that, you can get on the ACT website, and they can kind of start giving you some lists of some possible dates of when they're looking at rescheduling some of those exams.
I guess they're not understanding what they're going to do for classes.
Now, The one thing I do need to let you know, and this is how it's going to be done, and we are going to be meeting with our teachers more extensively next week. But this is how your class day is going to be structured, and you need to really pay attention to this because this is how they're going to be monitoring by you logging on. Right now, daily, the state has sent out a thing that the amount of time that a high school student will be doing direct instruction meeting with your teachers via Google Meets or the different platforms that they actually have is going to be a total of 3 hours per day. I have been working on a schedule of what it would look like for us here at Valley High School, along with the teachers, of how they would be providing instruction. The instruction that you're been accustomed to is not going to be giving you papers to do for that period and turn it in. A lot of the assignments now are going to be more of a project, kind of a research that you're going to have to do and turn in and meet the different timelines that are going to be set forth by the teachers. One of the things that we're going to be working on with the staff when they come back on Monday is going to be looking at timelines when we need certain assignments or certain projects completed by, so that way they can grade and then they can move on to the next area that they actually need to do. For some of you, it might be a combination of 2 or 3 classes working together that you currently have on your schedule that'll be working on assignments, so that way you will be able to get credit for maybe 3 classes based on one type of a project that's going to be done. Again, these are things that we're meeting with the staff on Monday. We have all of next week that we're going to be planning and setting things up specifically for you seniors first, to make sure that we do that. And then we'll move forward for our underclassmen as we go. So again, the way you've been getting instruction before, where you're used to getting like X amount of assignments and then having those turned in, that's going to change quite a bit on how it's going to be done. So that's why it's going to be important that you have access to the internet, a type of computer, iPad, or anything where you're going to be able to get those assignments to you. We are going to be having, the teachers are going to be required to have office hours. And once we finalize how the office hours will be for the teachers, that's going to be sent out to, obviously, to you and to your parents. So that way, if you have questions on a certain assignment, you're able to log on through Google Meets, and the teachers will be available via long distance to answer any of the questions that you might have based on the assignment that was actually given. So on top of the 3 hours per day, the teachers will be having a office hour type of a college type office hours via Google Meets type of a platform that's on there. Right now, as a district, we're looking at just probably one platform that we're going to be using for students, and that's going to be the Google Meet platform. The district has the Google rights to be doing that, so there's no charge for that. Plus, it expands the capability of how many people can actually be on a conference call at one time. There's no restrictions as some of the other ones actually do.
There's a question about bilingual seal and bilingual testing.
The bilingual seal and the bilingual testing, that is still going to be taking place. What we're going to be doing is we're working with Mrs. Chavez to work on what that's actually going to be looking like so she can actually be sending out that I know it's going to be a written form, that part's not going to be changing, but a lot of it's going to be done through, again, via teleconference when there's actually having to do those oral presentations and support that actually have to be done. So Ms. Chavez is actually working on that and working on a date. So things that you've already been working on is not going to be changing. So if you were in line to take a test and to do whatever work needed to be for the bilingual seal, that's still going to be in place. Everything that you have been doing up to this one point, like the bilingual seal, any of the other type of things that you were working towards, those are still going to be in place. The delivery of instruction and the delivery of how it's going to be done is going to look totally different than what you've been accustomed to in the past. Else?
That's it.
I think these are some of the pressing questions that you guys had as we actually went on this. What I do need is if you continue to have questions, we are developing a FAQ senior FAQ, and then we'll have answers on that we will post, and we will give you how you can actually get on there through the Google Docs, so you can kind of look at if you have a question, we'll have the answers posted on that. So we are going to be creating a FAQ as we go through this journey. Again, I do need to reiterate to you that we want to make sure you are going to be our first priority to make sure that everything is going to be done for you to actually graduate with your class this year. For those of you, again, I have to, again, reiterate this, is there's some of you that were actually already doing distance learning. That needs to continue. Make sure that you're completing the work and getting that done as soon as you can, because once you complete that, you can be able to move on to another course if you need another course to graduate. Here's an opportunity to actually be doing additional coursework than we would have been in our traditional type of setting, because they wouldn't let you take more than one class until you completed one. So do be working on that extended learning. I believe we have 26 seniors that are actually in Mr. Courses, distance ed. It's either econ or government class. You need to make sure that you're completing that coursework. If you complete it, the sooner you complete it, the better it's going to be for you, because then we'll be done. You'll be done with that portion of that class to meet that distance ed requirement. Anything else?
You might want to. A few people are asking about the elective classes.
Elective classes are going to be done a lot differently too. And again, these are the conversations that we're going to be having with our teachers. That the elective classes, I know there was a lot of hands-on things, a lot of things that we're going to be working on with our staff. And again, we will finalize this portion on next week when we come back as a staff. That your electives are going to probably be looking at some type of a project that you will be graded on, and it'll have components of whatever criteria would have been needed to show mastery in that particular elective with what actually needs to be done. And then what we're trying to work on, and again, this is something that we're still going to be meeting with the staff, is that the sooner we can get those electives that you're in for you to be tested out of, and tested out is probably a bad word, but being graded out as passing that course, then you would be done with that portion of whatever of that class, and that way you concentrate on the core subjects. I know we have some of our seniors that are still at CEC. Those courses have been continuing online, and I believe they've been using the same format as Google Meets. Make sure that you're staying on top of those classes there at CEC. We have some of our students at C&M. Those courses are still being done, extended learning as well. So make sure you stay on top of those classes for those students that are actually at C&M, CEC, or even at UNM. Those classes are still continuing. So make sure that you complete that work that's required for that dual credit as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being part of this.